This is the month Mother died, 1828. Since then, Papa demands that all of us, my 2 sisters and 8 brothers, must all live together under one roof. Always. We can never, ever marry. Never. But marriage has never been high up as my ideal. From an early age, I have dedicated myself to poetry. And for many years, I have had some incapacitating illness of the lungs, which no doctor can accurately diagnose or successfully treat. Opium helps. Such discomfort. So for the last 5 years, I have rarely left this room. Up the stairs and at the back of our 4-story house here at 50 Wimpole Street, London. But now, in 1845, when I am 38 years old, I receive a letter from the young poet Robert Browning, whose poetry I have admired for several years. I love your verses with all my heart, dear Miss Barrett. But in addressing myself to you, your own self, and for the first time, my feeling rises altogether. I do as I say, love these books with all my heart, and I love you too. Many devotees of my poetry, having never met or even seen me, have sent such words of ardent devotion, which I simply dismiss as misplaced adoration. And I love you too. Several years ago, Mr. Kenyon did propose to introduce to my sofa side Mr. Browning. I was pleased at the thought of his wishing it. His actually coming. No. Finally, after 4 months of our frequent correspondence, I give in to his pleas to visit me. You are generous and impetuous, Mr. Browning. That I can see and feel. Mr. Browning now comes once a week for an hour or so. As long as I live, into the last moment of my life, I shall remember, with an emotion that cannot change, all the genuine interest and feeling Mr. Browning spends on me. At first, I think the feeling on his part is a mere generous impulse, likely to expend itself. He's 6 years younger than I, but after several months, it affects me very deeply. More than I dare attempt to say. He pleads with me, make my life yours. I tell him, you are wasting your best feelings on me. emptying your water gourds into the sand. What a great heap of grief lies in me. It was 7 years ago. Dr. Chambers said I could not live the winter in London, so I was sent down to Torquay, to my aunt there. And my eldest brother Edward, whom I love so, was sent to take me there and return. When the time came for him to leave me, I could not drive back the tears. My aunt kissed them away and said she would write Papa to tell him he would break my heart if he persisted in calling away my brother. Papa's answer was, burnt into me as with fire it is, was that he did not refuse to suspend his purpose, but that he considered it to be very wrong in me to exact such a thing. So, there was no separation, and month after month passed. Sometimes I was better, sometimes worse. Once my dear brother held my hand. How I remember, and said he loved me better than them all, and that he would not leave me until I was well. How I remember that. But 10 days from that day, he in his small boat left the shore for the day. For 3 days I waited and hoped while I could. Oh, the awful agony of those 3 days. I could not speak or shed a tear, but lay for months half conscious with a wandering mind. And how natural it has been for me to loathe living. The cause is not my illness. I've never said so much to another living being. Only Mr. Browning. Oh, Papa has been patient with me through the tedious trial of my illness. He never reproached me, as he might have done. Never once said to me then, all since, that if it had not been for me, his eldest son would not have died. He never did. Never. Behind all those patriarchal ideas of governing grown children in the way they must go, there never was a truer affection in a father's heart. He loves us all, through and through, and I, for one, love him. Mr. Browning first wrote to me in January. It is now August. Let me say now that I love you from my soul and give you my life, so much of it as you will take. If Papa knew that he had written to me so, and that I have answered him, he would not forgive me at the end of 10 years. With the cold weather approaching, my doctor strongly advises me to spend the winter in a warmer climate. But Papa accuses me of securing a personal advantage in my requesting to go to Italy. Robert says that I am enslaved and that he could free me. He would marry me now and be no more than one of my brothers, no more. So he could simply be by my side for an hour every day, not just once a week, and not secretly. I had done living, I thought, when he came and sought me out. That he should care at all for me has been a matter of unaffected wonder to me from the first hour until now. Papa makes it clear that I might go to Italy if I pleased, but that going would be under his heaviest displeasure. The bitterest fact of all is that I had believed Papa to have loved me more than he obviously does. That if God were to free me within a moderate time from this trailing chain of weakness, that I will then be to him whatever he shall choose, whether friend or more than friend. I am Robert's already, not Papa's. In January, my ever dearest Robert writes, "See, love, a year's gone by. You are mine, I am yours. But this living without you is too tormenting. Imagine for my sake, sweet, that we are married, and my arms around you, and my face touches yours. So begin thinking, now that your health and strength improve, begin thinking about this spring for our new life together in Italy." In the time of fine weather, and if I am not ill, Robert shall decide when we leave for Italy. He is all to me. I am living for him now. By June, my strength is greatly improving. One night, when everyone is at dinner, I put on my bonnet and call my cocker spaniel, "Flush!" We go downstairs, out into the street, all alone. That is something great. And with just Flush, I walk there, up and down, in glorious independence. But one night, Papa comes into my room. At about 7, as he often does, I am in my white dressing gown, relaxing. "Has this been your costume since the morning?" "What, no, Papa, only just now." "It appears that that man has been with you the whole day." "But, Papa, Mr. Browning several times meant to leave, but the rain would not let him." There the questioning ends, but it takes my breath away, what is left of it, from such terror and fear. Oh, Robert, what a desperate game we are playing. How I can look and sleep so well is a miracle, or would be, if love were not the deepest and strongest thing of all. I am happier now than I ever was before. I am Robert's already, not Papa's. But I hear terrible news. An edict has gone out. Papa needs our home empty for a month. He sends my brother George out to find a house for our family out of London. There's much to do in the way of painting and repairing here in Wimpole Street. We are to go and not delay. I immediately write to Robert to tell him of the sudden turn of events. What can be done? It seems quite too soon for us to set out on our Italian adventure now. He immediately writes to me, "This conduct of your father's is quite characteristic. If you do go next Monday, our marriage will be impossible for another year. The misery. We must be married directly and go to Italy. I will go for a license today, and we can be married this Saturday." I pray Robert keeps himself calm. I know I shall not fail him. Of all the women who stood where I stood there, in Marylebone Church, not one of them, not one, has had reasons strong as mine for an absolute trust and devotion towards the man she married. Not one. Now no one can put us asunder. Oh, I do so hate to have to take off the ring, but I have such a morbid fear of exciting suspicion, and I am paralyzed when I think of having to write such words as, Papa, I am married. I hope you will not be too displeased. He will be angry. He will cast me off. But I love him. He is my father. Please forgive me, I would plead, for the sake of your daughter you once loved. Then, 5 days since I became Mrs. Browning, it is announced that the departure from Wimpole Street will take place next Thursday. But the house is 6 miles from the nearest railroad. I asked Robert what he would have me do. We must leave at once, he says, this Saturday. Wilson, prepare my luggage. And yours. Wilson has been perfect to me, and I calling her timid. I begin to think none are so bold as the timid when they are roused. Robert arranges for a boat to leave the Royal Pier on Saturday evening at 9 o'clock. On Friday he writes, My ever dearest, dearest, one struggle more, my beloved. Depend on me. Now I shall have only my ever dearest Robert to love me. So, on Saturday afternoon, with Wilson and Flush by my side, I descend the stairs while my family is in the dining room at their noonday meal. And ever so quietly, I close the door of 50 Wimpole Street behind me.